What's going on, guys? I'm Joe Farewell with Atlas Gunworks, and we're back here at WOFT bringing you another episode of Knowledge Nuggets. And today we're going to talk about drawing and firing with a single hand from concealment. Now, there's many reasons why you may have to draw and fire with one hand, whether it's your strong hand or your weak hand. But out here at WOFT, we work a lot with flashlights, and that's because many self-defense situations occur in low light. So being comfortable with working with a flashlight, and I carry mine on my support side, use it with my left hand, may set you up for a scenario where if the flashlight's not working, your voice isn't working to de-escalate the situation, we may have to go to a gun. Being comfortable drawing with one hand while we're still identifying the target, maybe we have a child in our arms, maybe our arm has been injured, whatever the case may be, having the process in place in order to be able to do that job effectively is super important. So let's break down that process and see exactly what we have to do. Now, I will encourage you, before you start doing these drills, make sure that you're empty and we do this dry first. I want you to have a good process before you attempt to do this live. I like to actually operate with something in my hand. So in this case, I'm going to use my flashlight. I'm just going to keep this in my hand. That way I don't have any opportunity to use this hand when I'm not thinking about it. So the process that we want to do here is the first thing, get the shirt out of the way. Now, whether you carry appendix or you carry on your side or even, at the 5 or 6 o'clock position, I don't necessarily encourage a 6 o'clock position. Make sure you're at least carrying somewhere on your side here. Regardless of where you're carrying, step number one is to clear the cover garment. So when I do that, I'm going to take my right hand, my support, or my strong hand in this situation, and I'm going to simulate that I'm using my flashlight to illuminate my target, or illuminate my threat. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to get a big handful of my shirt. And the technique that I'm using here is making sure that my index fingers, my middle finger, and everything goes straight down. It's called a north-south draw. And I picked this up from a buddy of mine, Donovan Moore at Point One Tactics. Great dude. Check him out. But we're working this as an up-down north-south axis here, not across the side. The reason I do that is as soon as I grab, I can start clearing that shirt already before I even lift anything. So with this process, I'm grabbing that, getting a good handle on it. I'm not trying to scoop the edge because this can be unpredictable and you're not necessarily going to get the perfect pick every single time. So once we grab this shirt, get a good handful of it, I pull that up just high enough to where I get good access to my gun, and then I pin it with my palm. Okay, I'm going to just pin that against my side, and I drive my thumb, my strong hand thumb, down behind the shirt and onto the gun. And the goal with that is to make sure that I'm getting under the shirt and not over top of it where the shirt may get caught inside the draw. It's really important that you do that. So once we've gotten this shirt out of the way, I've driven my thumb down behind it. I want to keep my thumb upright. And the reason why I do that is because if I jam my thumb straight down behind the grip like so, what's going to happen is by the time I get the gun out of the holster, I have a bad grip. And now I have to adjust my grip to be able to build a second hand, or even shooting one-handed, I want to keep that thumb up high. And I'll explain why here in a minute. But as we do that, we're going to grab, pin that shirt against our side, drive the thumb down behind the gun, and at this point, the shirt is out of my hand, and that's the goal. We want to have a clear hand and be able to get that gun up and either shoot from retention or drive out to take accurate shots down the line of sight. So let's go ahead and do that at speed. I'm going to walk you through each portion of the steps, and then we're also going to do it live. Step one, our left hand, or support hand in this situation, is out of the fight, whether we're using a flashlight, it's been injured, we don't have it, whatever the situation is, we're holding something, and we have to draw with our right hand. So flashlight's up, north-south finger, pin the shirt, drive in behind it, establish that good grip, rotate up to a good presentation while we're getting accurate shots on target. Okay, now let's go ahead and take this, load it up, and do it live. Stand by. Let's do that one more time. Flashlight's up. Now, as you can see there, I'm not adding a whole bunch of extra movement into this. We're going to talk about drawing on the move here in a little bit, but we still want to get a good sight picture, still work the trigger effectively. So as you can see, we still end up with good hits on target. We've got 6 rounds in the A zone, and that's the goal as we're working from concealment with a single hand. This is strong hand shooting. We're also going to talk a little bit about support hand shooting and what you may have to do in order to get accurate shots on target while drawing from the support side with a single hand. Now, it's a bad day if you're not able to draw with your strong hand, but there are some techniques that you can use if you do have an injury to your strong hand and you need to use your support hand. One of the first things that you can do is still work the same concept of getting that shirt out of the way. Appendix carry is a little bit easier than working from another side, but working with this appendix holder, we still want to get the shirt out of the way the same way. And then I'm going to dive in here and just reverse my grip. So I'm still running thumb up, but I'm diving in behind the gun and I'm rotating that out. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of extra movement there that you won't have with your strong hand, and it's a little bit complicated. Again, I highly recommend that you do this in dry fire a whole lot and get comfortable with it before you ever attempt to do it in live fire. The other alternative to that, it would be pull this out, still grab the gun this way, but when we pull this way, the gun's obviously in our hand incorrectly. From here, we can use either our knees or some other process to set the gun up into our hand in a good grip. We could put it on a table or something like that, on the ground if we're on the ground, but we want to get a good grip before we take any shots with that. Don't just sacrifice a bad grip just because that's the only thing you can get. Make sure you're able to get a good grip before you take those shots. So again, working with single hand, weak side, get a good north-south grip, pull that shirt out of the way. We can dive in behind the gun, establish that grip, and rotate up to a good firing hand or firing presentation. Or we can pull that shirt out of the way, go ahead and grab the gun out. Be very mindful here though, because you don't want to slip your fingers into the trigger guard or anything like that. And then we can either set it on a table, reverse it and get our grip, or put it right here between our knees and build a good grip like so. Now, one of the best things about WOFT is that we have the opportunity to apply the things that we're testing on the range in scenarios, whether that's low light, the coffee shop, or just hand to hand. We're able to apply these things in real time and see how the training translates into an actual force on force scenario. So what we're going to do right now is go over there to the low light room and check out what this looks like when we put into a scenario training.
What's up, man? How about you?
Whoa! Hey! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Stay down! Stay on the ground! All right, guys, thank you for tuning in for this edition of Knowledge Nuggets. I hope you got something to work on for yourself, and hopefully you never need it, but it's at least a good skill to practice and make sure that you have an understanding of the process before you do need it. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, I'm Joe Fairwell, and I'll catch you on the range.